Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I really hope that you are doing okay amongst all the craziness, and I know you're probably sick of everybody talking about it, so all I will say is that I hope you're okay. I hope you're keeping safe. Keep yourself, keep everybody around you safe, and don't go crazy. Now, I know that everybody and their bichon frise is talking about how to work from home at the moment, but I promise that I did plan to do this video quite a few weeks ago, so I figured I would crack on with it because I have been self-employed now for nearly 5 years. So these are just a few things that I've learned along the way. A lot of them are nothing new, but I hope if you hear enough people saying the same thing, then maybe you might start believers that it actually does make a difference. I start every day with a walk or a run. It's been more walking than running lately, I'm perfectly honest. But it gets me outside every day and it just makes me so much more productive once I've kind of got the what is it when, you know, like when dogs get the zoomies? Like, I get the zoomies, and once I get that out of my system, I can sit down, I can focus, and I can work, and it's all good. If I don't do that, by the end of the day, I'm going a little bit stir crazy. So if you're starting to find that you're going a little bit stir crazy, then get outside. I know at the moment that we're having to, you know, practice social distancing, and this is really, really important. So please do be careful, but at the moment, the advice is that we can still go outside, we can still go to the park and all these things. Just try and keep your distance from people and don't cough in their face. Ideally. I mean, who does that anyway? But still, especially now, don't cough in anybody's face and you'll be okay. You're still allowed to go outside. Obviously, if you are in somewhere that isn't shut down, I'm sorry. Some people prefer to get their exercise in later in the day, which is obviously absolutely fine if that works for you. However, for myself, I find that if I leave it until the end of the day, I'm actually much less likely to go out. It's a little bit easier now that we're getting slightly lighter evenings and all that kind of stuff, but generally by the end of the day I'm a bit tired and the last thing I do is want to put my trainers on. So if it's the first thing that you do in the day, you literally, like, I wake up, I put my, you know, running kit straight on and I get out the door. I just don't really give myself much time to think about it, to be honest. Then it's done, I can come home, have a nice hot shower, crack on with my day, and I don't have to think about it. So for me, the morning really works, but some people like to do it after lunch to kind of combat that after lunch, I just want a nap phase, which especially at the moment, if you're working from home, your bedroom's right there, it is so tempting to go and nap. And you know, I mean, I can't tell you what you do. You can have a nap if you want. But again, I just find if you're going like, oh, I'll definitely go after lunch, then chances are you might not. So personally, highly recommend getting out in the morning, getting it done, and you'll just feel so much better. There's also some really good research, which I'll link a really good article below in the description, which I just found really helpful, just details it much clearer than I'll be able to. But there's some really good research into the fact that getting some light exposure, good outdoor light exposure early in the morning can actually really help with your sleep. And again, this is something which, if you're like me and you work from home and your home is not a massive one, I live in a 1-bed flat, then it can be really difficult to start separating your life because you do it all in the same space. So A, try not to hang out in your bedroom too much. That also really doesn't help. And B, getting this light in really helps just with the whole hormone production of getting you to sleep. It makes a massive difference. If you are struggling, particularly at the moment, to fall asleep or to get good sleep, try getting outside as soon as you wake up and see how much of a difference it'll make. So this very much links in with the getting outside aspect, but find a form of exercise that you really enjoy. For me, I really like running because it gets me outside, it gets me in the fresh air, and it just makes me feel really good. But I also really like group classes because I just find that it's a little bit of motivation, and also if you're working from home, you could spend a lot of time by yourself. It's nice to get out and get sociable. Now, obviously at the moment, group classes, big no-no, they're probably not running anyway, but when this all calms down, see if you can find a really good class that you enjoy. Lots of people enjoy things like Zumba, or even most gyms will have classes that are just everybody in it together. You can cheer each other on, and it's a really, really, really good vibe. I go to Pilates classes one evening a week, which again, I just really, really enjoy. Plus, if you are a musician, Pilates will do you so much good. I feel a lot better since I've been doing it, just because it just helps kind of strengthen your muscles in a very non-aggressive way, and it also stretches you out, and I just feel much better for it. So big fan of Pilates. You'll also find that lots of gyms have off-peak memberships, and this means that you can get your gym membership for quite a bit less, and because you are self-employed, you can go at these off-peak times. Again, I appreciate that's not helpful for right now, but when everything is back to normal, then check out the gyms near you, see what kind of memberships they do, and if they do an off-peak one, grab that, because also it's much nicer going to a gym when it's quiet, because nobody wants to be queuing like half an hour for a squat rack. Find some people who are in the same position you are. It's really, really nice to have a community around you of people that A, understand what it's like working from home and being a freelancer, but also just to have that space to bounce ideas off each other, have somebody proofread things. And I've mentioned it before, if you're sending a really scary email, maybe it's a business proposal, whatever, you really want to make sure that that is as slick and professional as it possibly can be. Spelling mistakes or weird punctuation, stuff that you might not notice, isn't going to help you. So having somebody who can read through all that kind of stuff can be really, really helpful. Also having somebody to bounce ideas off of, if you're like me, an external processor, can be so helpful. I actually find it quite difficult to internally process things, so I need to kind of talk through my ideas, which often results in me talking to myself in the middle of the flat. So I really love it when I can have somebody who I basically just need them to sit there and listen to me, which is probably why starting this YouTube channel appealed. But hey ho, thanks for indulging me. When are you most productive? Are you a morning person or an evening person? Figuring this out can be absolutely life-changing, because I know for so many people, we always kind of send this message of morning people get the most done and blah, 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 blah. But that's just because we're forcing everybody to act like morning people. So of course morning people work well then, but what if you're somebody who's more productive later in the day? That's fine. Schedule the tasks which you find the most, either the most difficult or just the most mentally intensive, I guess, for the time when you are most productive. Now, for me, that is in the morning. I am absolutely a morning person. I tend to get less productive as the day goes on, quite markedly. So I always start the day with, like I said, I go outside, I get my exercise in, and then I come back, and normally that's when I practice, because that's the task which for me I want to be the most mentally engaged for when I do. So I'll do that generally until lunch, and then after lunch I'll crack on with other things like emails or writing blogs or editing videos or whatever it might be. That's kind of how I split my day, because I found that that's a routine that really works for me. Getting up at the same time as well is something which makes a huge difference and will probably not make me very popular, because at the moment, if you're working from home, you're like, yay, I can wake up when I want. Wake up at the same time you would normally. Having a regular wake up time just helps your body know what's going on and will help you establish a routine that you can stick to every day, because that's really what we're aiming for here. If you can schedule in something which is basically the same kind of time frame for each of your days, you'll find it so much easier to stick to, and you'll find you're a lot more productive. Having a routine of where you work as well can be really helpful. Now, in an ideal situation, you would have somewhere that you can set up as an office space, whether that's, you know, in your conservatory, in an actual office, in the spare bedroom, whatever. But if you're like me and you don't have that luxury of an extra room, I just sit at the dining room table, but I sit on the opposite side to the one that I would normally eat at. So me and my husband are very classic, and we've settled into routine of he normally sits on one side of the table, I sit on the other when we have dinner. So when I'm working, I just sit on the other side. And it sounds really, really silly, but it actually makes a massive difference, because for me, I find it very difficult if I can't disconnect from work within my sort of chill out space, if you like, which is obviously the same room. So the bigger difference you can make between workspace, play space, the better. And something as simple as sitting on the opposite side of the table can be really, really effective. I know, I'm sorry. I know all you want to do is stay in your pajamas all day, and I know that can be really, really nice, and occasionally we all do it. But getting dressed just puts you in a working frame of mind, and it doesn't have to be a three-piece suit. I mean, you know, like, I'm wearing a hoodie, I'm comfy, but I got dressed. If you stay in your pajamas all day, it can actually make you feel quite kind of slobby and a bit down, and it can really, really affect your mood. So just simply getting up and just putting on, you know, a t-shirt and a pair of jeans will just make you feel much more put together and like you have started your day. It can also encourage you to not become a bit of a recluse. You're much more likely to leave the house and go out for a bit of a walk or pop to the shops or go see a friend, whatever it might be, if you're already dressed. If you're kind of, you know, sitting there working away and you're like, oh, you know, I kind of fancy this from the shop, but I'm in my pajamas, I can't really be bothered, I'll just stay in. And then before you know it, that's happened for several days in a row. So you're much more likely to get out and about if you feel like you are presentable enough to do so. Have a planner that can be paper or online, which you just write down everything that you want to get done. I have a paper one, which I plan out my whole week. So it's got kind of day by day, and I just write down all of the key things that I need to make sure I get done that week. I get really, really overwhelmed quite easily, just generally, but especially if I'm trying to keep all the things I need to do in my head, then I'll A, forget half of them, and B, just get totally overwhelmed and not start any of them. So if I write them all down, it makes it feel so much more manageable. It just breaks it down into chunks, and you can also see what needs to be prioritized a little bit better and all of that kind of stuff. So just write it all down, make a plan, and it'll be so much easier to stick to. You can either plan out your whole week or you can just plan it out a day at a time. But one thing I would absolutely say is make sure that you do this before the day in question. So for example, I like to plan out my whole week. I sit down on a Sunday evening with a cup of tea and some chocolate, and I just plan out everything that I want to get done each day. This just means that I feel so much more prepared for the week, and like going to bed on Sunday, I'm like, yep, I know what I'm going to get up and do tomorrow. And it just makes me feel like a bit of a productive boss, which is nice. If you're going to do it day by day, plan things out the evening before. So again, you're going to bed just with your mind cleared of what you need to do the next day, because it's all written down so you can't forget anything. I actually do keep my planner just beside my bed. I don't look at it, but it's there in case I remember something and I want to write it down, because if you're trying to keep things in your mind just before you go to sleep, that is not going to help you. So have either a notebook or your planner that you can just jot it down quickly, and then it's done, it's down, it's out of your head, and you can get some well-earned sleep. So I hope that was really helpful. As always, I feel like I say that every video, but I really do hope it's helpful. I appreciate that working from home may be new to a lot of you. So I hope this just kind of helps you settle into that routine and kind of get a grip on things, because working from home can be really, really bizarre and really tough if you haven't done it before. So yeah, let me know, and if you have anything that you found really, really helpful that you want to share with everybody else, then please do comment it below, send me a message on Instagram, and I'll share it if that's okay. And yeah, just good luck. Stay safe, and this will all blow over and we will get through it together, I promise. I will try and get another video out to you quite soon, because I have nothing to do but film, because all my gigs have been cancelled. That is a point actually. Please be very, very nice to any of your musician friends, your freelance friends, your self-employed friends. This is a really, really tough time. This is a busy time of year normally for us, and everything's been cancelled. So obviously financially that takes a hit, but also just on your mental health, that can take a real hit. Like, I get really down when I haven't done a gig for a while, just purely because it's what I love to do. So not getting to do that for a long time can be really tough. So please do check in with your friends for whom that is their career, and just, yeah, see how they're doing, see if they need any support. They will be so grateful, I can promise you. I will see you guys very, very soon, and I hope you are all doing okay. Much love. And I just find I am literally Lallery's work now. So the more differences you can make, the more differences. Wow. It's day 3 of self-isolation, guys.